Well, good morning, Bardstown and Nelson County. Welcome to another edition of Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford here with you on this beautiful, sunny, and cool Wednesday morning. Good morning, Margie.
Morning, Jim.
Well, it's just about the 1st of September, and this is the coolest day I think we've had in months.
It is, absolutely.
Feels pretty good.
It does feel pretty good. This is probably going to be our autumn right here. It's going to go directly from summer to winter. And so enjoy it, because it's not going to last long.
Well, when my daughter was living in Michigan, they said that, they had their summer, they had the 4 seasons. It's just a couple of them were like a day and a half long. It was either winter or summer. Anyway, well, Margie, we're continuing our series of interviews with candidates who are threw their hat in the ring for office. And this morning we're joined in the studio by Gary Coulter. Gary Coulter is the 2nd District Magistrate on Nelson Fiscal Court. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Jim, Margie. How are
you? Well, Gary, I think, is this I'm sorry, sometimes time slips away from me. Is this your 2nd term or 1st term?
No, I'm completing my 1st term.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. After 4 years of on-the-job training, it probably feels more like two terms.
First of all, pardon my voice. I've got hay fever really bad today. But as far as the first 4 years, it's been trying because, of course, we started meeting in person. Then we went to Zoom. Then we went back to in-person, back to Zoom. So It's been very trying 4 years, but we made it through it, thank goodness.
Well, there's it's interesting, all the challenges that, you have your day-to-day operation of Nelson County, but then you have all these other challenges that nobody saw coming.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we all had to manage. County government was an essential service.
It sure was.
So hats off to all of the county employees who still picked up our garbage.
Absolutely.
Who still, snow plowed our roads.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And still maintain the roads and paving and everything else.
That's right.
Well, Gary, you're running for re-election as magistrate, and the 2nd District, I don't know the exact boundaries, but I know it's in the eastern part of the county, I guess bounded on the north by the Woodlawn area, I guess. Or does it go?
It actually, on 62, headed toward Bloomfield, on the right side of 62.
Okay.
And it goes all the way to Fredericksburg at the county line.
Oh, okay.
And then it goes all the way to the Maud Bridge off of Woodlawn, that area. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then it includes all the Philly at True Lane, all the new construction of Bourbon warehouses out that way.
Oh, okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, redistricting next year will be interesting to see how all the districts change.
It will be. They try to square each district up with the amount of citizens, and I probably will lose a few because we've had a lot of growth in our area.
Well, I think you and Jeff Lear in District 4.
Mm-hmm, right.
So those districts are really going to change.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, I don't know, I'm in District 4 now, but I could wind up in the 5th District.
Correct.
Depending on how they draw the border.
Yes, it's true.
Gary, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Gary Coulter. I'm current 2nd District Magistrate. I'm retired owner of Coulter Towing. I owned Coulter Towing for around 44 years, I think it was. I'm married to Sandy Ritchie Coulter. I have one son, Lance. I've been an EMT for 40 years, and I was a firefighter for 15 years. Of course, as a volunteer, not paid. I went to Jefferson Community College, which at that time was part of the University of Kentucky. I'm a member of the Gideons International. I'm on the Nazareth Board of Directors for Villages 1 and 2. I'm a member of Parkway Baptist Church, where I'm a lead usher and on the administrative council. And as far as magistrate, I'm on 3 different committees. I'm on the Public Protection Committee, which is fire, EMS, and police. I'm on the Budget Committee and also the Equipment and Grounds Committee. At this time, over the last 3.5 years, I've received about 200 of in-service hours training from KCO, which is the Kentucky Association of Counties and Division of the Local Government. And by the end of my 4-year term, I'll have close to 220 in-service hours. So I think that will benefit me to return to the court.
Now, Gary, it's my understanding that, this training for magistrates is really voluntary. You don't have to be a magistrate to go to these.
You don't have to. No, you do not. But why wouldn't you? Because you get a lot of education how the counties run as well as the cities.
Right.
A lot of ways that I didn't understand that you can get different money from the state. They show us how to do that. Show a lot of different areas, and of course we have a lot of good speakers also to help us.
In other words, how to do your job better.
Exactly. How to do your job better and more efficient.
That's great, because I know that it hasn't really been a campaign issue, but I know in the past it's come up that we've had magistrates who never went to anything.
Right.
And because, maybe because they had an outside job and couldn't get away, those sorts of things. But it's great that you've got time
Yes.
to go to these trainings. I hear you and number one, District Keith Metcalf talking about these things. So
Yes.
it's interesting to me to hear the types of trainings that you guys are looking
Yes,
into.
it's very informative, and it benefits the magistrates to go to these conferences, very much so.
All right, well, get my specs on, Gary.
Yeah, me too.
Gary, what do you think are the biggest challenges, say the 3 biggest challenges that you're going to face in this year and in the coming?
Well, one of the main challenges is the makeup of fiscal court. We're going to have a new county judge. We're going to have at least 2 new magistrates. You're losing a lot of experience there. Bernard has 40 years, or
A lot of
Dean has
institutional
28.
memory.
Absolutely. And you're going to lose a lot. So I feel like we need to keep 2 or 3 on the court at this time, kind of balance it out. Because when I came on, of course, Keith Metcalf, Jeff Lear was on, and Bernard, and they showed me the ropes, how things worked. As long as the judge also was great. And so if we have any new ones, which we will, they're going to need some leadership and show them how things work and take their time and learn. I think that's one of the major ones. The second one is the ARP funding we received. You cannot spend that ARPA money on just anything. There's certain things you can spend it on. I feel like what we need to spend this ARPA money on is major projects that otherwise we couldn't afford for the county.
Right.
So we can use that federal money to get these things done, just like the water line coming in from Louisville. I mean, that's a major help to Nelson County.
Sure.
And I think the third thing is we've had a little confrontation in the court about the sheriff's deputies' salaries. So we have to get that stabilized. We have to pay the deputies what they should earn. Way I like to see it, I'm personally on the Public Protection Committee. I would like to have seen the committee meet. There's 2 magistrates on the committee. I'd like to see them and the sheriff and his chief deputy and the judge have a committee meeting. Let's discuss this before it comes out. We don't need confrontation in the public. We need to sit down and work it out and to the best that we can.
Right.
And I think that'll be a critical issue also.
All right. What? You and I have both heard Judge Watts mention that one of the challenges in the future is going to be revenue, as expenses go up at the jail, and expenses go up with EMS. There's always a question of what would you support to create new revenue? And I know, of course, we're not at that point yet.
Right.
But at some point in the future, it's going to have to be looked at. And I don't think anybody wants to get rid of. The county doesn't have to have an ambulance service. But I think that keeping it under government ownership ensures that our outlying areas maintain coverage.
Right.
Which was the whole purpose of the county buying it.
Right.
And that's so important. Of course, today's my birthday, and every birthday reminds me I'm not getting any younger, and how important ambulance service really is.
Absolutely.
You never think about it until you need one.
Exactly.
Right.
And then when you need it, where is it? Where is it?
Right.
But what do you think about the county's finances and everything's going up faster than the 4% revenue increase that the court can get every year now? The inflation's really going up.
Well, we've been a conservative fiscal court. We've watched the judge and the magistrates have watched the pennies. But with that being said, the compensating rate, we have taken the compensating rate without raising taxes. As long as there's growth in the county, whether it be residential or industrial, that compensating rate is going to adjust upward where we won't have to raise any taxes. We're in good shape for 2-3 years at least. And as long as the building continues and we attract new businesses, I see no reason to raise taxes. I had someone approach me, let's say someone running for office, and about an insurance tax. There's no call for insurance tax at this time. We're in a stable environment right now with our court, with our budget, so there would be no instance for that. So I think with the compensated rate, we'll be okay. Yeah.
Well, Gary, you mentioned businesses and recruiting. The county is pretty much out of significant developable land for the industrial park. And who would have thought, when the county bought that property, there was a lot of discussion, should the county be in the land business,
Right.
developing land for industry. And now we see, pretty much a full park out there. Do you think is it the county's role in your book to do that again, to help encourage and bring in new industry? We had that battery plant going in Hardin County. There will be a slew of spin-off industries supporting that.
Right.
And we could get some of that here.
Exactly.
If we're fortunate. So what are your thoughts on the county government's role in industrial development?
Well, part of the industrial development, as you know, is the cost of infrastructure, gas lines, sewer, and water. But if you want to bring the jobs to Nelson County, and if you want to attract local industries to come in, you almost have to do that. Because nowadays, they want you almost to build a building before they'll come in. Of course, I'm not in favor of building a building.
Right.
But we do need more industrial land. I am all for industrial land to bring jobs in the county because, you bring jobs in, you go get occupational tax on, you go get taxes off the business that's come in, so that will benefit the county tremendously. Yep.
Gary, there's always talk about the lack of recreational facilities for the young people here in this county. What are your views on that? Say for a recreational complex that would be sponsored by both the city and the county, or do you have any thoughts in that area?
Well, the only way that we could afford it is the county and city work together for that, along with private sector. I mean, of course, Nelson County government could build a building, but the cost after building the building is tremendous. And just recently, my little great niece came in from northern Kentucky, and my wife and her sister was keeping her, and they took her to E-Town to their park over there, water park, to give her something to do. If we can't build a major complex right now, let's just start it all small. Just put a little water park in for the small children and work up. I mean, we don't have to come in with a $30 million project all at once. Let's start little and work up.
Right.
But I'm all for the recreation. We definitely need something for our kids to do around here. There's nothing anymore to do.
Right. There's been, so many, like the closure of the theater
Right.
and the closure of the bowling alley and things like that.
I did, one of the constituents in another district, I was at Walmart, you know how people came up, and she gave me information on a company out of state that comes into smaller communities to build these kind of parks and things. So I have been in contact with them, and they're going to look at it and see if it be feasible. I mean, we have to start somewhere. You know, if somebody wants to come in to do it, private organization, it'd be great.
Well, Gary, I know we were speaking a little bit about, you know, revenue and the operations. The Nelson County government includes, I don't know how many different departments, but it's bigger than people think, I think, on the outside.
Yes.
But right now, the county owns the land and operates the landfill. And they're gearing up for a multi-million-dollar expansion, as you know, to keep us moving into the future. The landfill generates some revenue. And I can't remember what county. It's Washington or Marion that bring their. There's an outside county that brings their garbage into ours and has for years. Now, years ago there were two counties, and one dropped off. But it does create revenue, but it's kind of a catch-22 because while they're bringing revenue in their garbage, they're also taking up space that we built for Nelson County garbage.
That's right.
Going into the future. Would you be in favor of recruiting or being open to another county's garbage coming into the county, to our landfill?
The first thing we need to find out is how much access to land do we have at this time at the current landfill. How many years down the road can we use this? Not only were we getting ready to open another phase up, as you know now, so do we have another phase behind that one to open up?
Right.
Now, if we do, and we see we have plenty of area to do that, then I'll be open to let some more come in. But we have to see exactly how much land we have for that, because we don't want to run out. If we run out, then we'll have to be shipping our garbage somewhere else.
Right.
So we want to take care of Nelson County first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Gary, what do you think are the most significant things that have happened that the fiscal court has accomplished in the time that you've been on?
Well, my opinion, you know, on fiscal court is finding solutions to solve a problem. You know, if you have a problem come before you, let's find a solution to it. You know, let's focus on your goals. You know, not your obstacles. Let's get together. Let's get this done. Of course, we've the $120,000 blacktop money. Of course, that doesn't go anywhere any longer. Especially the blacktop has gone up because of fuel. I think I have District 2 in pretty good shape now on our roads. So, say District 3 needs a road done, I think we need to work together to get. We all live in Nelson County.
Right.
We have to take care of all the roads in Nelson County. But as far as Nelson, fiscal court, I think we've done great with our tax base, what we get coming in. I think we've worked well with that amount. Like I said before, taking the compensating rate without raising taxes. I think that's a major thing, 'cause, nobody wants to pay more taxes.
Right.
So
right.
I think we've done a great job at that. And we all work well together. This fiscal court, we may not agree, but at the bottom line, we do agree. We work together to solve the problem, like I said before. Yeah.
Right. Well, you mentioned blacktop money, and I know that there's always a lot of good-natured ribbon going on between you five magistrates about that and how much mowing is done in every district. But anyway, back to asphalt money. The price increases have been phenomenal, I think, over the 4 years you've been on.
Right.
I mean, it's really gone up, and that asphalt does not go as far as you might think.
It does not.
Now, are you satisfied with the way the funds and the asphalt's divided up? And I know I've seen that. I think Bernard one year gave money from his district because he got fewer roads.
Right.
And some of his road money helped somebody else out.
Right.
And that's kind of how it should be, just like exactly what you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with the way fiscal court handles the road money?
I'd rather for them to give District 2 more out of the number 1's district than number 5's. But yes, it works out well. But like I said, if we see something that needs to be done, we're open to give it to someone else to help them out.
Right.
And then in return, we may have a road that needs it down, 2 or 3 years. They would help us out. So you have to work together
Right.
on that, but being that small amount of money.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And plus, the judge can allocate some of his money.
Discretionary. Mhm.
Discretionary
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
And then of course, the state has been really good about chipping in when there's emergencies.
It is, yeah.
Major emergency.
Yeah, we just had a bridge, Tom Greer Lane Road, that the state condemned, and the state get 80-20 split. State paid 80%, and while we is 20%. And you talking about earlier about those conferences. That's one instance right there on a conference that I got to know people with the Division of Water and the Corps of Engineers. You have to have permits from both of those before you can start a bridge. And the contacts that I've made sped up that process where we could get the permits quicker. Now, we're getting ready to do one on Hilton Lane also.
Right.
We just did the bids the other day. And so that helps a lot. The state funding helps.
Well, I think anytime you can meet people in those processes in person,
Right.
you do build a relationship, and they can think, oh, I remember him
Exactly.
from such and such conference.
Just an instance, a funny story out in our neighborhood, Woodlawn Springs, we had a red fox run through, and someone called me, so asked me what to do. So automatically, I thought, hey, I know a game warden that I met at a conference. He lives in Spencer County. So I called, and they sent someone out. I haven't got the determination if they called him yet or not, but at least I knew who to call and got the ball rolling. Yeah.
Right. Dean Watts Park has been the focus of a lot of the county's recreation money, and our since the split several years ago between the city and county recreation departments, I think both of them kind of wobbled a little at first, but I think both the city and county have thriving recreation departments, and the Dean Watts Park is such an asset now.
It is.
And it's always changing to try to meet those needs, and I think we've got a good director of recreation.
Yes, Derek does a great job. Yeah.
And but what about the outlying counties, outlying areas, like Chaplin, Bloomfield, New Haven, Balltown? What about recreation? Is there, I think they may feel kind of left out, because if they want to play, they don't have any, if they don't have anything to help upkeep their parks or fields there.
Well, just recently, someone, I think Keith was absent from the meeting. They came to me about the Balltown ballpark.
Right.
So I got the ball rolling there, and they've done upgrades on that. We need parks in every area of the county. I mean, we're not barged in city. We need them in the county area. We need one, down toward Rooster Run. We need one in Bloomfield. Of course, they have a park in Bloomfield,
Right.
but we need to help. Whatever we can do, we need to help that, because you get the children in the parks playing ball and different things like that. I feel like of course, when we grew up, we're out from daylight to dark playing instead on computer screens. And
Right.
I think that benefits the children to learn how to play well together,
Well, not to mention their physical well-being.
Exactly.
They're a lot better off running around in a ball field than they are working on a.
I agree. I remember a real funny story when we were younger. Your mom come to the door, holler, Gary, come, time to come. And then second time, Gary, and then the third time she come to the door, Gary Wayne. You knew to get to the house when she put the middle name with it.
Yeah, that was the last call.
That's the last call, yes, sir.
Well, we need to take a commercial break. You're listening to WBRT, Bradford and Brooks, Margie and Jim, and we'll be right back with our special guest, District 2 Magistrate Gary Coulter. Stay tuned. All right, you're back with Bradford and Brooks. Jim Brooks and Margie Bradford with you on this beautiful Wednesday morning here in downtown Bardstown. Our special guest today in the hot seat over here is Gary Coulter. He's the 2nd District Magistrate on Nelson Fiscal Court. And we've been talking about his bid for re-election. Gary's finishing up his first term at the end of this year and is seeking another. And Gary, it sounds like you've had this first term has been that you've kind of put your shoulder behind it and and tried to get everything you can out of it.
I have. I've enjoyed this first 4 years and I hope to have 4 more and just to work toward the betterment of the county. I think that's our goal in fiscal court.
Well, Gary, we have a lot of truck traffic coming down through town. And part of that's because of the rock quarry relocation.
Right.
But then, this is just a busy place. You've got, the Barton Distillery, them hauling products back and forth, going out North 3rd. As I've mentioned before, I remember seeing Jonesy's around the town carriage sandwiched between a rock truck and a semi, a tanker semi, and it's like, well, those guys aren't getting the best tour, best view of Bardstown.
That's true.
But it's the most current view, and so this leading me into the western bypass, and I know that's not in your district, but I think I think there's a need for it. But is that something that again, in your role as a magistrate, you represent your constituents and then also the county.
Exactly.
So is the bypass something you think would be helpful to improve the quality or reduce the truck traffic in Bardstown?
We absolutely need a bypass. They're putting I call it cut through off 245 down near Hoagland Funeral Home. But we definitely need one further out, maybe around Thomas Nelson or out that way. And another thing, they're talking about taking to the New Haven Road. If we can get the money, why not put another exit ramp on the Bluegrass Parkway off on that? That would really deter the traffic. If the tractor and trailers could go right there and get on the parkway, going east or west. Of course, that's a big if there.
Right.
State has limited funds, but hopefully our senators, everybody contact your senator and let him know what you think. Maybe he'll get something done.
All right.
Gary, excuse me. The jail is always a big topic of concern. Do we need a new jail? Do we need to make significant alterations to the present jail? Do we need to get a scanner to help them manage? What are your thoughts in this area? What do you think fiscal court should do or think about doing?
Well, let me say one thing. Jailer Buck Snellen came in at the same time I did. I came in fiscal court, he came in jailer. He made tremendous advances at that jail since he came in. He cleaned it up, painted, and did an outstanding job on the jail. But, there comes to a point, a building can last just so long. We're going to have to look at this. It would be so astronomical to build a new jail. It'd be well up in the millions. So we need just to, sit down and look and see exactly what we can do with the jail. I think we just now put new locks on the cells, make it more secure. Of course, I am on the Public Protection Committee, so that's part of my job. We need to make sure the jail is secure. And we need to make the jail a safe environment, not only for the inmates, but for our jailers, or deputy jailers. That's the number one concern. So we'll have to look at that and see which is the best way. Let's hope that the federal government will come out with some funds for jails. I hope they will. The rumor mill is they're going to put some federal money out. Now, that's just a rumor mill. We haven't got any official word on that yet. So let's hope that happens, and then we can make some adjustments on that. Yep.
Gary, fiscal court doesn't control planning and zoning, and of course, the planning commissioners are made up of appointees from all the participating local governments. Are you have you been reasonably? I don't know. Is planning and zoning doing a good job in your opinion? I mean, from the outside looking in, but you're a little bit closer to what's happening, and your constituents may have other thoughts on that. I know that out in your district, Woodlawn Springs and potential development of the golf course was a big issue a couple of years ago. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? And of course, the comprehensive plan is a plan that looks way in the future. And of course, things can change from that. But it's just, it's the best guess on how development should happen.
Right.
For example, you don't want industrial development in the middle of an agricultural area. Things like that. But what are your thoughts on planning and zoning? I know some have really, made it want to make it an argue about that it's too restrictive, et cetera, et cetera. What are your thoughts?
Well, like you said, some people think it's too restrictive. But let me tell you, go to some of these other communities and look around, and then come back to Nelson County and see how great Nelson County looks. I mean, regulations sometimes are not bad things. It could, but as far, we do have to look at, we don't want to put industry in the farmland. Of course, you couldn't be able to afford that anyway, because most of them need gas lines.
Right.
You can't run gas lines that way. But I think, a lot of people are against planning zoning. I think it works well. Everybody has certain things that they want. But I think in overall, it works well in Nelson County. Yeah.
Well, I know that and it's not without controversy from time to time.
Right.
And I think that, even out my way, when when somebody wanted to turn the old Cox's Creek School into some sort of drug rehab site, and that sure stirred up a lot of activity there for a while.
They did.
But then, as you mentioned, you have to have sufficient utilities and approvals to change the purpose of something.
Right.
And changing the school from a visit daily to a residential, it just wasn't cost effective.
Right. Exactly.
But you have to do those are things you have to take into consideration.
Right. Exactly.
Gary, you've been on fiscal court now for 4 years. Is there anything that you wish that you could do differently that you haven't been doing, or for example, like the meeting times, or locations, or anything?
If you hadn't mentioned that, I was going to bring that up. Of course, we meet first and third Tuesdays of every month. A lot of people work out of the county. I have no problem at all having some meetings at night, and I'd like to see them in each district. Go around, alternate the district, like we did the garbage pickup, the bulky item, Jim, that I worked and got changed, you remember?
Yeah.
And I'd like to see, go to District 2 somewhere and have a meeting at night. And you don't have to do it every month, but every other month or something like that, to give the opportunity for people that work out of the county to be able to come to their fiscal court. It's not my fiscal court, it's their fiscal court. Come to their fiscal court and see how a meeting works. Yeah.
Right. Well, Gary, you mentioned something that's near and dear to my heart, which is bulky item pickup.
Yeah.
because, we, it's almost like a holiday at our house, because we go through the barn and think, well, what haven't I touched in the last year that we can, and my kids used to make art projects. We had a big teddy bear. They went down there and we had a desk and an old computer. And so they set this bear up working at a computer down there in the pile. So, crazy things like that. But it's seriously, bulky item is a huge service to the county.
It is.
It keeps trash out of streams and environmentally sensitive areas.
On that issue, I'll tell you a real quick story. I was at a conference, and there's two, a magistrate and a judge from another county. I can't remember which county. And they came to me and says, we want to know how this bulky item thing works. I said, what are you talking about? And they said, how do you all do this? And I explained how, each month is $75, I think, a month, attached to your garbage bill, and you get a bulky item pickup. They said, we've got to go back and do that. So people are watching what we do, and I think it's a great asset. Of course, the first year I came on fiscal court, I brought it up, as you know.
I remember.
Of course, yes, you do. The judge and all of them just said, no, we can't change. Well, the second year I came back and tried it again. And I think it was the second year I got it changed. So it rotates now, because my district always was in the bad weather. Elderly people can't get their bulky items out in snow.
Right.
So now we're rotating around. So that works out great for all districts.
So how often does this work?
Each year.
Just once a year.
Once a year, and
Well,
it rotates.
once a year you get, no,
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you do the bulky item pickup?
Well, once a year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
just one time a year?
Yes.
Okay.
So right now, see, we're last in the pickup. I think it's 1st April when they put our
Yeah.
bulky item out. Now, next year it'll rotate around. Mine may be first, and then next year it'll be second,
I
next
see.
third. So we
Okay.
rotate them where everybody can have good weather to get their junky
Yeah.
items out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a
Well,
big
it keeps it-
accomplishment for getting number one to go along with that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it keeps stuff from being dumped down hillsides and
Exactly.
into creeks and,
Yes. Back when I was in business and worked all these recovery wrecks, you'd be surprised what you see over the hills when you try to get a car out of a ravine. Yeah.
Right. And another program that's not mentioned much is the dead animal pickup. I know that the county has a role in that, and for cattle farmers and other folks that have livestock, that's an important service.
It is an important service. Yes, I'm all for that.
Should the county increase? Do you think there's a need to increase the revenue brought in to cover bulky item? It is a massive effort that's largely done in house.
You talking bulky item? Or
I'm
you
talking
dead?
bulk. I switched gears. Sorry.
Yeah.
On bulky item, do you think there needs to be rate adjustment to help fund that? Because I think there was discussion this past bulky item pickup about the true cost of it, and if the county was actually covering those costs or subsidizing the pickup.
I think right now it's okay. I mean, the rate right now, of course, costs are going up on everything, but
Right.
but as long as we have the conservative budget, we'll be in good shape. I have no problem.
Well, Gary, I'll ask you this. It's kind of an open question. Why vote for you rather than your opponent? Why should our listeners pull that
Well,
color your box in?
color my box in. Do you have any crayons? Well, I'm finishing up my first term. Like I said before, I'll have about 220 hours in service training through the state incentive program. And over the last 4 years, if we can make it through the last 4 years with COVID, we can make it through anything, bottom line, because we've worked hard. And, of course, I was in business 4 years, whatever it was. So that's one reason I'm on the budget committee. Judge Watts put me on the budget committee along with Magistrate Lear. He understands that we have business background. And of course, I think we're both conservative. We're not going to spend taxpayers' money unless it's absolutely necessary. So I think that promotes me to be a fiscal court member.
Okay. The fiscal court pretty much had to take over the control or operation of the animal shelter, and because the Humane Society wanted out. And there was a lot of discussion on social media about, why is that so expensive? Why do we need it? But again, I think if you go to a county that doesn't have a strong animal control, you see the results of that too.
Absolutely.
But did you have any reservations about also county staffing that operation?
Well, it was kind of up to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to do it.
Yeah.
We really didn't have an option. And no, I didn't have a problem with that at all. Of course, by the time you pay salaries and insurance and all that, it's a massive expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have any reservations on it.
Well, Gary, talking about your experience on the fiscal court and the fact that this is going to be a big change there. Tell us a little bit more about your experience in this area.
As far as fiscal court?
Yes, I mean, I know you were mentioning the committees that you were on and that kind of thing.
Well, we really haven't, the committees are formed. I think we need to work with these committees a little bit more when something comes up. I think we need, instead of airing it out in open fiscal court, until we get agreement with, just like, say, the sheriff. Let's sit down with him, let's talk to him. I'm a person that likes to listen. I'm not just go talk to be talking. I want to listen to what they have to say and then make an informed decision. Is this what we need to do? Is this for the betterment of the county? Is this cost effective? And I think that's my opinion. That's what I bring to fiscal court. I'm a conservative member of fiscal court, so I'm not going to spend the money unless we have details on why. And if it justifies it, then I'll be okay with that.
Do you think it would be helpful to maybe have the results of those meetings maybe explained a little more in fiscal court to tell people how you arrive at a...
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
Right.
Yeah, if you reach it.
Because if you just come out and say, well, this is what we're going to do.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. But once you reach an agreement,
How did you reach
how
the
you
agreement?
reach the agreement.
And what made you reach that agreement?
How did you come to this agreement? Another thing real quick is on the fiscal court. I like to see more open fiscal court for comments from the citizens. If they want to speak, sign up and, give, you don't have to listen to somebody for 30 minutes. Let them sign up and give them 3 minutes and limit it to, say, 10 a meeting. That's 30 minutes, and you get a lot more, lot different ideas coming from the community, because we're there to serve the community. We're not there to serve us.
Right.
So we need the opinions of the community, and if they can speak at in court, then we would get a better idea.
Yeah.
I think opportunity for public input
Right.
would be a good addition, because there's always, my wife always calls it the meeting after the meeting,
Yeah.
and a lot of those discussions, or people bring up those things either before the meeting, you're walking in, they grab you, or afterwards.
Right.
So, it gets communicated. It's just, I think it should be added back to the agenda somehow.
Now, of course, the magistrates can't get together after the meetings because
Right.
if you have 3 people, it's a quorum. We're
Yeah.
not
Right.
allowed to have a quorum, so we
Right.
can't discuss any fiscal court matters in a quorum without being open to the public. So we do not do that, no. But we do joke around with Jim Brooks after that.
And I always tell them they've got a quorum. They can talk anywhere they want, but they can't talk.
That's right.
Well, Gary, any other changes in fiscal court that you would support? I don't know, like different arrangement of the desk. It seems like we're going to keep in some sort of COVID era moving forward, and should the layout of fiscal court be more COVID or what do they call it? Distancing,
Social distancing, yeah.
friendly. If that makes sense.
Right now, I don't think so. When I came on court, of course, we sat right next to each
Yeah.
other. Now we're 4 or 5 feet apart, and some magistrates have their paper all the way over. I'm not mentioning any names.
Number one.
But I think COVID's here to stay. I believe it is. I mean, it's just going to be a different variant. As long as you get boosted and everything, I think we'll be okay. So I have no problem bringing it back together. That way, you don't have to feel like you're yelling across the table at somebody.
Right. The relationship between city government and county government in the past has been sometimes very rocky. Since with Mayor Heaton and Judge Watts, who knew each other, I think, going back to their childhoods.
Right.
So county and city governments have worked well together.
They have.
Would that work to the count to both entities' benefit, you think?
I think so. We had an issue come up, and our county engineer, Brad Spalding, he doesn't get enough credit for what he does. He's a tremendous asset to this county. And we went to a meeting, he went, and we talked it out and worked it out, and everything's fine. But city and county works well together. There's a lot of counties and cities, excuse me, that do not get along at all. I mean,
I've seen that.
Yes, absolutely. So I think, we have a great city council, we have a great fiscal court, and I think we work well together. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Margie? Got about time for one question.
No,
Well, what do you want to leave our listeners with, Gary?
Yeah.
Well, it's been an honor to serve the citizens in District 2, and hopefully I've returned every call, email, or social media post. I'm good at that. If someone calls, I will directly call them back. I've worked hard on the issues that have risen to get an answer to any problem. So, like I said before, remember the key to success is focus on goals, not objectives, and that's what I do. I focus on the goals, not objectives. I respectfully ask for your vote to continue working for District 2 in November. Thank you very much for having me, Jim and Margie.
oh, you're welcome.
Well, it's been our pleasure, Gary. I appreciate all the work that you and the other magistrates put in. I think sometimes it's a thankless job, and people don't understand it's more than just one meeting or 2 meetings a month.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of a 24-hour job.
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork that we have to read through. Exactly.
Now, this isn't a major question, but are you a marrying magistrate? Do you marry people?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No,
I didn't know if you...
Keith is the only one that marries.
Okay.
Yeah, the judge didn't even marry him.
Right.
So
right.
Keith is the only one. We'll leave that up to Keith.
All right, very good. Well, Margie, we have a special radio show.
Special edition of Bradford and Brooks on Friday.
That's right. We will have Field Hoagland.
Yes, who's
He'll-
running for
he-
re-election as coroner.
That's
Field
right.
and I grew up together.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he'll be our guest, and then...
And then next Wednesday, we have Kenny Downs.
Yeah. All right, from District 5.
Yes.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's Bradford and Brooks. Thanks for listening, and you can check us out on Facebook. Just look for Bradford and Brooks, and follow our page. We offer updates before every show of who our guest is for the day. Well, Margie, thanks as always for coming in, and thanks again, Gary.
Thank you, Jim.
And thanks to all our listeners. And have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday for another Bradford and Brooks.
WBRT Bardstown, 1320 AM, 97.1 FM, and on 94.9 FM in Lebanon.